Well, like I mentioned in the first video I did back, that we refinished our basement. So the area that used to be my workshop, I had the whole half side of the basement. I now got kind of demoted to this corner. So my work area got cut in half, and I had to get creative in being very organized. And I used the ceiling, the walls, the shelves, and I never really did a tour of the shop video over there because I didn't really consider it that official of a workshop. But I came up with a lot of good ideas for being organized, and I'll show them to you now, and I'll kind of go around, just do a swing around what I do and how I kind of grabbed, 2 pounds of crap in a 1 pound bag. So we can start up here in the ceiling. So it might be a little hard to see because of the lights, but I tried to put as much as I could up in the ceiling. I hung paint cans from hooks in between the joists. I hung plastic crates. All my lights, all my clamps are up here. All my clamps are hanging off the joists just to get them out of the way. I have lights. I have a small workbench. I have all my extension cords that I put on made wood hooks for them. I have my air hose and just everything I could. I got it up out of the way. It's still accessible. It's still where I can see it and grab it. Like if I'm doing some nailing with the air gun, I have it right here. And I just made some small hooks, and I used metal hooks and everything I could just to get it up and out of the way. But I still use a lot of the shelves, and here's all my shelves over here. So this is probably the messiest part of the shop, and it's all my shelves and all the junk that I don't really know what to do with. In the back, I have one of the wood shelves that I've made, and I've done a bunch of videos on that, and I've gotten a lot of views on the wood shelves out of 2x4s. It's 8 foot long, 2 foot wide, and I have one there and one over there and one in the garage, and I use that for all wood scraps and long pieces of wood. And I use a lot of milk crates. I have all these old milk crates, and I'll label them if I can, like everything with electric, and here's all my paint. And I try to kind of keep them together in a certain way. I have all my glue and WD-40 in one can, and wheels in another. The problem is some things are a little bit too big to fit on the shelves. Like I have all these pieces of wood over here and sticks, and I probably should clean it up and find a better use for that. But the shelves are just kind of a way to get, you can fit a lot of stuff in a small area. It gets it up off the ground, and you can still find stuff, like I still have like, all my soldering stuff in one thing. And it's, you need shelves and you need stuff, somewhere to put all the junk that you don't know what to do with. But working around, I'll show you where I can put my table saw and some of my other tools that are more organized. So here's where I keep my table saw and my miter saw, and I found if you have a small shop, you need to have stuff on wheels. And my table saw is on wheels, and I keep a board on the top so you can use it as a work surface, and it protects it. And here's the miter saw cart that I built several years ago, and it's also on wheels that can lock. The arms swing up, and I use this a lot. We refinished our basement, and I used that miter saw a ton, and I could swing it around to wherever I needed it. But that's just kind of a small cove that I can get stuff out of the way, and these are, table saw is big, but I can move it out of the way when I don't need it. So here's the next wall of the shop, and I have an old filing cabinet, and I have stuff in here like circular saws and kind of old tools that I don't really use, but it kind of keeps them all in one area. The two big things that I really like in a workshop, Adam Savage always calls it first order retrievability, which is much more fancier than whatever I do. But I always like using a pegboard because I like being able to see the tools. I don't like putting stuff in drawers because I never know what I have or where it is. So I've always had a pegboard, and for the past several years I've always had 2 8-foot pegboards, and I've been able to fit everything on there. And I can see it, and I can just grab stuff off of it. So this is one side, and this is one workbench that I've made. I've made 2 workbenches that are real simple, and I'm going to make another one for a garage, and I'll show you how I built it in another video. But it's just, you can do it out of 2 or 3 2x4s, and they're just screwed together. And I use a melamine top. It's $35 for a 4x8 sheet, but I've had these for years and they look perfectly fine. If you used a piece of plywood, they would get dented and everything. These look great. They're great to work on. I have them ripped in half, and for 35 bucks I have 2 work surfaces. If they get bad, I can always flip them over, but I haven't found that to be an issue. But I have this workbench, and I put a lot of electric tools on this side. So I have all my drill bits and my small drill press and just kind of odds and ends. This is not really the main wall. I'm usually working in here, so I have all my good tools and the stuff I use all the time over here. But I kind of have, more milk crates and some more tools on the bottom and just odds and ends and kind of the bigger stuff over here that I don't really use a lot. This is the wall that I'm mainly working on. Let me show you that next. So like I said, this is where I'm mainly working, and one thing I found that when you're setting up a pegboard is you want to set the stuff you use the most right in the center. So I start in the middle and work my way out, and I'll do another video on how I did all the shelves and all the racks, but I put my pencils and rulers right in the center because that stuff I'm always grabbing. I'm always grabbing a pencil, losing it, grabbing another one. So I start right in the middle. I'll do my hammers and another rack for all my little hand tools and screwdrivers, and all that stuff is right in the middle. And I put other stuff, bolt cutters and pipe wrenches and stuff on the ends that I don't really use as much. But I always like being able to see everything and being able to just grab, okay, I'm going to make a cut and grab my head earmuffs and I have them. I don't have to go remembering what drawer it's in. You can just grab it right away. Another thing is down below, I have my drivers and drill and air compressor right where I can grab it. This is just a piece of PVC pipe where you cut a notch in it. And I have the shelves down there. I have all my nail guns and stuff in the case. I did a video on making the case before. Everything's easy to get to, easily accessible right in front, and that's why I like pegboards. And at the far end, if you can see it, is my storage for all my, I call it, I don't know, organizer cards, something I made a year ago, and I have 12 of these cases, and it's so nice having everything where I can get to. It's all labeled, electrical. I have everything in here that I need. Nuts and bolts, washers, I know where it all is, and that's also on wheels. I can roll it around, but that usually stays where it is. But with a small shop, you just need to use all sorts of spaces. I have my extension cord on a wheel up here. I'll make a video on how I made that. But you got to use all the space, all the ceiling, especially when you go from half the basement to a quarter of the basement. It took me quite a while before I could actually move around in here and find spots and rafters and everything. So that's my shop. I'll do some more detailed stuff about all the shelves and all the other stuff that I've made in an upcoming video.